Welcome to my channel. My name is Catherine M. Walker. I'm an indie author with 6 epic fantasy books, which is split into 2 different series, and a 7th book, novella technically, coming out later on in 2025, which is really not that far away. So today, this is my December wrap-up, writing wrap-up, and a brief review of 2024, just to review my writing and see how it went down. I do hope, saying that you've all had a good year and that you have a good New Year's, although please keep it safe. As I do this, it is actually it's Tuesday, the 31st of December. So because I do my monthly wrap-up on the last day of the month, or at least that's what I've decided to do going forward, I thought this would be the good opportunity for my wrap-up of 2024 as well. December. What can I say about December? It wasn't really a productive month, or at least it didn't feel productive. I didn't achieve all of my goals, but saying that, some life issues got in the way, which meant I just called it. I did progress with my current work in progress, which is my Project Warlord. That will be out soon. So that's my novella. Anyone on my newsletter who is a subscriber will get that one for free. Otherwise, it will be available direct from my store. From my website. It will be out a little bit later on the year on the other platforms, but not for a while. So that will absolutely be out next year. It's really close, so frustratingly close to being done, but it is what it is. With life stuff that happened and Christmas, I just did not get it finished. So that's December. That's how it went. It's progressing, but slowly. We'll get there. Now we'll get on to the second part, which is my year in review. I will frankly admit I just stole this. For me, this is a new thing. I haven't done a year in review, at least not on YouTube. I've obviously reviewed my writing and how I've gone for the year at other times, and I hope I'm live. I'm not even sure if I am. I think I am. I'll just keep talking. We'll keep going and we'll just see how that's gone. This is, sorry, that's me getting distracted. I'll just keep going and we'll see if this happens. It's been 12 months. It's been a month since I've used it, so I've forgotten how this thing works. Anyway, so we'll go on with the year in review. Sorry about that little glitch. I started with some questions. I stole this, I will admit, from Sarah May Sutton. She's an indie author. She doesn't do epic fantasy. She does young adult romance. Not really a romance girl, but I do like to check in with some of the other indie authors, see how they go and what they're doing, particularly those who've been published. I kind of feel like we're on a similar level there. So it is good to see and learn from the experience of others. And when it comes to YouTube and that side of things, someone like Sarah is streets above me. She's been doing this for a lot longer. She certainly has more books out than I do. But anyway, she does this thing with, and so do quite a few other indie authors, where they have a list of questions and then they answer those questions. Then the next year, part of their review is to do a recap and look back on what they said from the previous year and see how things went. But anyway, so the first of those questions is, I'm reading off a list here. What changes did I experience this year? To be honest, not that much. This year, 2024, for me has felt like a bit of a holding pattern. Finances are really tight. I've been self-funding. I don't have a steady income until 2025 after May. So really, something I'm sure a lot can empathize with, really broke. Cost of living did not help with self-funding. So funds have dried up. I'm broke. So it's been just sitting down, getting some writing done, and that's been about it. That seems to have been what 2024 was, with a few exceptions here and there. One of my moments of joy. If I put this in context of my writing, then I would say one of my moments of joy, if you could put it that way, let me bring this up, is this. So I finally got Defiance done and published. Defiance, if you don't know, is the third book in my second series. So I finished my second epic fantasy series. I was really happy to get that done. I don't know why, because I'd been through it all before and managed to write from beginning to end of a series. However, even though I'd been through it before, I struggled with that final book. Well, not struggled, but all the events, the major events happened. I knew what they were, but with writing them, it was just more of a case of which players were in which. So which of my main point of view characters were at which major event. And every time I changed it, that required a lot of rewriting. And it took me about 3 or 4 rewrites of the last half of Defiance, pretty much, or really the whole thing, because it started early and you have to flow through essentially the whole and make those changes for who appears where. And they were quite major changes. So when I finally got this done, it was a lot later than what I expected, but I finished it. So that finishing a book anyway is a great thing. There's just nothing like that hit of I've finished, I've done this, and it's now out there in the world. So that would be, I guess, my joyful moment, or one of them. There's obviously been several, but if I stick to writing, that would be it. What trips did I take? Not that many, to be honest. That would be the part I mentioned earlier, the whole holding pattern and being broke. But one thing I did do, there was a short little getaway in May for my birthday. A friend gave me a treat, and it was a little forest retreat, basically, for 3 days, which was, my friend paid for this. We've been friends since high school, so it's been a very long time. But she treated me to that weekend, and we had a nice dinner, some nice food, some great conversation. It was just really, really nice. And if you don't know, the southwest of WA it's just beautiful. It's just filled with wineries and forests, and it's just a lovely place to go down to. So if you're ever out my way, go check out southwest of WA. It's a beautiful place to go and see. What was the most difficult thing I faced? Again, if I stick this just to writing, then yeah, just rewriting and sticking to Defiance. And I think there was a point where I was just so frustrated that it wasn't quite turning out the way I wanted. That's a normal thing for a writer. So if you're a writer and you're listening and you're in that space with your whip, it's a normal thing, or at least I found it's a normal thing for me, that I can get frustrated. Things aren't quite working, and I don't know why, because it's all of the same elements. As I said, it's just how it all went together. Those major elements did not change. Like, I knew what they were, and it was just the elements in between and how I put them together that changed. But that would probably be the most difficult, other than obviously being broken finances. That's not very nice either. But we've got a resolve for that, and that's coming up next year, but I will cover that off in my 2025 goals. 2024 goals. How did it go? Well, not too bad. So I've got those written down here as well. So well, actually, the ones I've got written down here are from my my writing journal. I don't have the list that I had the whole year, but I did review it for the second half. My first goal was obviously to finish Defiance and publish it, which I did. So that's a great big tick. I achieved that. My second goal was my reader magnet. That's almost like a half tick, I guess. The draft is done. So I had here that I have to rough draft it, edit, and publish. So I'm about 2/3 of the way through. I'm at the editing goal at the moment, almost done. Publish will be next year. So like an almost a 2/3 little tick there for my second goal. My third goal was Project Dragon, which is my new world, my new series that I've kicked off. I did kick that off, which was what my goal was. I did a little bit of planning. I'm a discovery writer though, so not a great deal, but I did start some drafting, and there's currently about 30,000 words for that. I have really happy with some of those elements, those early elements that I've got down. I have several of my different groups, civilization type, country type groups, and the leaders and point of view. A couple of those I'm really happy. They will stick, but we'll see how that progresses next year. So again, I'm going to give myself a tick for that goal. My third goal was to increase, this is fourth goal, was to increase my sales. I did do that in a way. I had a good, better, best goal. I won't cover, like they're pretty low goals, so pretty laughable in some ways. So $100 a month was my good. My better was 200, and my best was 300. I got best twice for this year, for the 6 months. Sorry, I do not have the stats for January to, or the stats broken down to this level anyway, for January to June. But from July to December, I got best twice. So I'm pretty happy with that. I did better a couple of times. Then obviously I got good. I only failed once. So 1 month, everything just tanked. I don't really know why. I didn't do anything different. The only thing I can put into play is perhaps the US election happened. So that did have an impact perhaps on sales. Who knows? I don't think I'm the only one who did report that there was a bit of a downturn there for a while. Of course, cost of living, that's everywhere. So that could be an impact as well. Now, tied into that, my next major goal and my last goal was I kicked off Project YouTube. So this channel, and I kicked this off in August, I do believe it was. I did click a major goal, which was the midpoint. So in December, I clicked over the 500 subscribers. So thank you very much to all of you that did actually subscribe. I'm really, really happy that you're here. Hopefully we'll keep going forward and get to that 1,000. That will absolutely be next year. There is no way I'm going to get 490 odd subscribers in what is left of this year. But to be honest, I didn't expect that I would. So this is, I guess, tied into my income as well. I'd like to monetize this channel just so I can add another income stream. There is a part of an income stream with this in that, so when you reach the 500, there's the super chat thanks and things like that come up. So that is absolutely a part of it. I'm not expecting I will see too much of that. But going forward, I do have some plans for the channel. I will cover that on my 2025 goals, which I will do tomorrow. So you'll get to listen to those then if you join me, or at any time if you review that or view that video. So that is Project YouTube. Really happy with how it's going. As far as my sales, let me bring up a chart here. Right, so this is a breakdown by book. My income is in the strict 4 figures. Maybe if I start getting a bit more of an income, we'll go through some numbers, or maybe if I get my group up and running, I am setting up a Discord for the future. We'll see how that goes. I might share things like that there. But so this is my sales broken down by book. Unsurprisingly, 53% of my sales, so just over half, were from my new series, Unwanted. Just so you know, I didn't start marketing this series at all until I had finished the whole thing. So literally, I just put it out there, I left it be, and as soon as I completed the series, I thought I would then try to advertise it and see how it goes. I'm not sure I'll do that again. We'll see. I'm going to try it differently again with Project Dragon. I'll cover that later off when that's closer to being done. So 53% is for Unwanted. Book 2, Sacrifice, that's at 9%. That little graph you can see, I don't know that I can, if this is going to show. No, it's probably not. So this is Sacrifice, that's at 9%. And then Defiance, strangely, is at 15%, which is odd because that kind of tells me that there are people, either I've missed recording some sales of Sacrifice because that's book 2, or some people have missed that Sacrifice is there and straight out bought Defiance. So that's a bit of an odd thing, but a bit weird. But anyway, and then the others will be, so the first book of my first series is Shattering Dreams. So 3%. I haven't advertised that at all this year, so that's not really that surprising. That's at 3%. Book 2 is Path of the Broken. That's at 7%. And the final book, Elderborn, is on 4%. So I'm still getting some sales for those ticking through. I'm pretty happy with that, given that I haven't advertised that series at all. So that's just sales trickling in, which is all good. Plus, for that series, the one I just mentioned, so Shattering Dreams, Path of the Broken, and Elderborn, I do have audiobooks for that. And that is the audio series that you will find on my channel. So if you haven't listened to that, please feel free to do so. And then like and subscribe if you haven't already. But anyway, so I will compare this next year and we'll see how it goes for next year. Oh, and the final category, this one here, TB, is The Being of Dreams, which is just the series name for the Shattering Dreams, Path of the Broken, Elderborn. I put that all in one, like an omnibus, so complete collection, all 3 books. That is just that's on 3%. Yeah, that's 3%. So not too bad. So as I said, again, I'm not advertising that series, or I haven't been. I will pick that up again. The next graph I'm going to show you is sales by platform. This one I find interesting. So this is for all of 2024, by the way, and so was the previous graph. In previous years, the lion's share of my sales, even though I am wide, was Amazon. So Google and all of the rest of the platforms combined were lower than Amazon. You can see this year, I don't know whether it's my Amazon sales have totally tanked or whether my Google and other platform sales has expanded. I'm thinking it's my Google sales have expanded. So all you Google readers out there, if you're also here on my YouTube channel, thank you so much. It's been amazing. 37% have just been strict sales on Google. Amazon is the next biggest. I'd about to say not surprising, but it does surprise me that it's come in second. Amazon is one of the biggest platforms out there, but that's a lowly little 21%. Doesn't surprise me from the perspective that I don't think you're going to find my book unless you follow a link. One time when I don't know if it's still the case, but I remembered a few years ago when I checked, I just went on a private browser, so a different one to what I normally use, put it on private browsing. I put in my title of my book, and everything but the kitchen sink came up except my book, including titles that had nothing to do with the title that I put in, and even by author name. I worked out that my books on Amazon came in about on the page 4 or 5. No one's going to sit there and scroll through that many pages trying to find someone's book. But that's what Amazon does. I won't say what I think of Amazon, but I think there's a fairly clear correlation that they do favor their own books, essentially, and the people who are paying them a lot of money to appear in those searches, regardless of whether that book is what the author or the reader is looking for. So they're on 21%. Sorry for the rant about Amazon. Next up, direct sales, 17%. So I did a number of conventions, or at least a couple of conventions I went to, plus the rest of those would be people who reach out to me and want to buy a book, most of them here in Perth, which is where I live, and I can get them to. The postage when it comes to Australia to anywhere else in the world is pretty exorbitant. So that puts it out of the realm of possibilities for most people. Literally, the postage would cost more than the book. There is the possibility of drop shipping, but I don't believe I've had any of that this year. So all of that was either people who have reached out to me that reside here in Perth, and those who've attended the couple of conventions that I went to. The next biggest would be Find a Way for my sales. So that's the audiobooks. They're on 9%. They used to do quite well. They then got gobbled up taken over by Spotify, and the sales there have gone down the gurgler, basically. They're really paltry, just a little dribble feed. And like audiobooks are not really worth it from my perspective with the low ball. So the biggest seller, the one with a monopoly basically, is Audible, which is owned by Amazon. And as a wide author, I only get 25%, except I don't even get 25%. I get less than that because obviously Find a Way has to take their cut as well. It's just not worth it given the cost that I have to pay out all of the money to get this done. It is not cheap paying a narrator to get audiobooks done. And yet Audible, so Amazon, thanks Mr. Bezos, takes the bulk of the money and does nothing to earn it, essentially. That's not acceptable to me, so I will not be putting anything else up on Audible. And indeed, the complete series that I have, the final book, is not up on Audible, and it never will be, not unless they start paying a reasonable rate. And I don't call 25% reasonable in any way, shape, or form, particularly not given they didn't pay for any of it. That was me. That had all the costs to that. Saying that, I may do them in future, and that's where YouTube comes in. So we'll see. We'll see with this experiment. If I reach I'll cover this in my video in more detail next year, but if I can monetize fully, and I think the income is worth it coming from YouTube, I will then I will use that income, part of that income that I get, to make further audiobooks of my subsequent series. So my Emergence series, the 3 books for that, I will make those into audiobooks if it proves worth it once the channel gets monetized. But those will not end up on Audible though. So they will end up on some of the other platforms, but not Audible, which means not Amazon either. Apple, I do believe Looking at That comes in next at 6%. The rest are all really small. Drafter Digital and Barnes & Noble are both at 4%. Ingram, 1%. Some of that income will also be out of the Amazon. So that's paperback and hardcovers. My paperbacks are on Amazon. Again, they have some pretty nasty practices, and they can list your books as not your paperbacks as not being available and out of stock. They actually are, at least if you're with Ingram and they're listed there. It's exactly the same. They are. It's just they don't print until someone orders one, and then it goes direct to you from there. And that's the same as the paperbacks being done with them. The issue I came up with is I did start doing some of the hardcovers through Amazon. I won't be doing that in future. I'll put it all through Ingram, simply because they don't do dust jackets, for one. And the second issue was they have a page limit with the Amazon hardcovers. And I found out my book was too long. So I could not do the whole series with Amazon. But I need to mention that that 1% from Ingram, that would be maybe marginally higher, because paperbacks and hardcovers would be included in the Amazon as well. But and Kobo, that's an almost dead platform for me, which is 1% as well. So it used to be quite good. I used to get some sales from there, but not much anymore. And it doesn't matter what I do, nothing seems to move that dial for Kobo. I don't see wasting any time on it in the near future unless I can find something that works. But anyway, that is my review of 2024. As I said, I hope this actually did work. It does have a little thing up there telling me that it is recording. So hopefully it's not giving me a furphy until next year. So 2025, I will see you all then. Have a great new year. And I will speak to you tomorrow about, and that won't be a live, that'll just be a regular video, but I'll chat to you all tomorrow about my goals for 2025. Have a good evening, everyone.